We will commence tonight's program before the introduction with a recitation of the Qur'an by our Qari reciter Masood Akuddin, which will be followed by a prayer made by Pastor Bob Benjamin.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين وإن عاقبتم فعاقبوا بمثل ما عوقبتم به ولئن صبرتم لهو خير للصابرين واصبر وما صبرك إلا بالله ولا تحزن عليهم ولا تك في ضيق مما يمكرون إن الله مع الذين اتقوا والذين هم محسنون صدق الله العظيم.
For the benefit of the audience, both Muslim and Christian who do not have the grasp of the Arabic language, the meaning is simply, invite all to the way of thy Lord with wisdom and with beautiful preaching, and reason with them in the ways that are best and most gracious. Truly your Lord knows best who has gone astray from the path, and he is the best aware of those who are guided. And if you catch them out, then catch them out with the likeness of that which you afflicted. But if you endure patiently, verily that is better for those or the patient ones. And endure your patiently, your patience is not but from God. And grieve not over them or over the polytheists, and be not distressed because of what they plot. Truly God is with those who fear him, keep their duty unto him, and those who are good doers. And with that translation, I'd like to now hand over the stage to Pastor Bob to give us a brief prayer from the Christian perspective.
Let us bow our hearts and our heads. O Lord, we thank you tonight that as we come assembled to bring praise and honor to your name, our prayer, our help, our plea is that you yourself will be gracious to us, that you would lead us, keep us in your truth, keep us in your light, and guide us in your counsel and in your will. We commit tonight into your hands. Thank you, our eternal and ever-loving God. Amen.
The topic that we're discussing is an interesting one. Who is Jesus? Or as you've seen advertised, Jesus in the Bible or Jesus in the Qur'an, which account is accurate? And for the past 2,000 years, human beings, mankind, religious people in general, have struggled to understand who he was. Was he simply a religious reformer? Was he a prophet of God? Or was he God in the flesh, God incarnate? For some people, it's an irrefutable and established dogma. For some others, it's a vast corpus of contradictory metaphysical fiction. Whilst for others, it is a mask, in inverted commas, on the face of Jesus being nothing close to his original teachings. So, in a sense, this makes it a top priority for both Muslims and for Christians and for people of faith in general to establish the reliability of the writers of the Revelation in terms of where the nature of Jesus is discussed or his personality is amplified. And so we have two different accounts, in some respects similar, in some respects different. The four Gospels, of course, which can be examined according to the same criteria that can be applied to historical documents. We have several Gnostic writings, such as the Gnostic Gospels, translated by Elaine Pagels. And of course, we have the lost Gospels of Jesus and the Qur'an. So to unpack the discussion in terms of identifying who the true Jesus is, or which account is accurate, we have before us three dynamic religious scholars, three dynamic religious personalities who will take us forth and navigate us through this trajectory and through this sensitive discussion. And bearing in mind that it's a sensitive topic, we are dealing with issues that are not normally discussed in the conventional framework of what we would hear in the mosque or in the church for that matter. And so we've set up the discussion for that very purpose. On my right to discuss the topic, I have before me an international guest, a renowned speaker, a scholar of comparative religion, Brother Shabir Ali, an imam who hails from Toronto, Canada. Shabir, in fact, holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Religious Studies, and that's studied at Laurentian University at Ontario, with a particular emphasis or specialization in biblical literature. That's the Old and the New Testament, or the Christian scriptures. He also has an MA in Religious Studies at the University of Toronto with a specialization in Quranic exegesis, and presently he's in his fourth year studies, completing his PhD, his fourth and final year, where he's presently doing his dissertation in Quranic exegesis. He's also the president of the Islamic Information and Dawah Center International in Canada, and travels extensively throughout the world debating renowned Christian apologists, people like William Lane Craig, people like James White, people like Jay Smith, Dr. Anis Shorosh, and so on. So it's not just discussions to Muslim audiences, but discussions to a vast array of people, which I think is necessary in this truly multicultural and pluralistic society that we are living in. In fact, if I may just add that we had a phenomenal response at the University of Cape Town on Friday night when there was a discussion, a debate of a similar nature with David Seckham, who's the professor at Northwest University. So it's interesting that we have him in our midst tonight, and I think the discussion will be a stimulating one, and of course it'll be a challenging one. On my left, I've got two individuals who have become friends since I first met them in early 2007. They've afforded us the opportunity to address their congregation at a sermon, or at the Sunday morning sermon. Normally speaking, that would be taboo in many religious circles. We don't have cases in South Africa where we have Christians coming to mosques on Friday, speaking at a Jummah platform, and of course having an interfaith dialogue, nor do we have churches where Muslims are allowed to come to the churches and address their congregation on the Sunday morning. And Pastor Bob and Glenn have both afforded us that opportunity where we simply address a congregation. They don't do a response, and then of course we take questions. And I take off my hat to both of them for in fact affording us the opportunity over the past 2 years. The format is as follows. Shabir will speak for 35 minutes. That will be followed by a response by Bob for 10 minutes, followed by his lecture, which will be for 35 minutes. Subsequently, there will be a 10-minute response by Shabir. And then, of course, we will open the floor to question and answer. And after the series of question and answers have been completed, we will allow final closing statements by both speakers for 5 minutes. And we will begin with Bob for 5 minutes, and of course we will conclude with Shabir for the final 5 minutes, and we thought both speakers have agreed that that would be just and fair. So there you have it, folks. That's the format for this evening. We hope you stay. As I stated earlier on, there will be prayer facilities after the meeting for Isha, so don't worry about that. That's catered, and we hope to have a good engaging session. So without further ado, And without keeping you waiting, I hereby call Shabir Ali to the platform. Let's give him a round of applause.